This is my third attempt recording this video. I have been interrupted by school announcements 2 times now in like the last 5 minutes trying to record this. And I figure, like, yes, I'm in the band room, in just hanging out because my kids forgot their lessons, evidently. So I have time to record, bright side. But, yeah, I keep getting interrupted by announcements, and I figure I probably shouldn't dox my kids and have their names be read over the loudspeaker in the middle of the recording. But, anyways, a little update for you all. I am going to be getting around to the other content. I know I keep saying that and then I don't, but the problem is I can only really record when my girlfriend isn't home, which is only during my lunch break. And to be honest, I don't really want to use my lunch break to record YouTube videos. I would rather use that to eat lunch, you know? So she is going to be going to visit her family in Ohio at the end of the month. So I will be home alone for a week, and I will be able to potentially record. It's my busiest week of the year, like school-wise, so it's a little unfortunate in that way. Like, I'll be keeping busy at least, so I won't have to worry about being alone and lonely all the time. But at the same time, I won't have time to record like I kind of wanted to. But I'll try. If I have the energy, I will get on Chrono Trigger. I will get on Ace Attorney. I have one Ace Attorney episode recorded to be uploaded, hopefully today. We'll see. To wrap up that cliffhanger, I forgot that I didn't upload the last video of the second case of the game, but that'll be coming soon. That is recorded. And then I'll try to wrap up Chrono Trigger and Ace Attorney together over that break. I'm going to really be pushing myself to try to get that done, because I want to move on to other content. Like, there's other ideas I have, like speed game stuff, like speedrun stuff, but I don't want to leave any loose ends before I move on to that. But this is not an update video. This is a video on Silent Hill 2, the remake, which I just finished. I finished it 2 times. I'm working on my last playthrough. This is technically a clickbait title because I haven't gotten the platinum yet. I'm still working towards the other, like, New Game Plus endings to get the last 3 trophies, I think it is, 3 or 4. And then I need, like, more gun kills or something like that. The joys of high school bring back memories for some people. But I really like Silent Hill 2 because it's like an entirely different game when you go back and play it in New Game Plus. The first time I played it on normal difficulty, normal puzzle difficulty, all of that stuff, and played through it entirely normally. And it took me around, like, embarrassingly enough, like 20 hours, including my deaths. I think my in-game time was around 15 hours, but I died a lot in some sections of the game. I made the mistake of going for the melee-only trophy, so I didn't use any of the guns and only used the wooden plank and steel pipe, which made some parts really challenging, but I was committing to the bit. I wasn't going to give up. But once I got to the prison area, I was really struggling to, like, keep it together, but I was like, I'm over halfway through the game. I am not giving up on this. And then I realized you get a chainsaw in New Game Plus that literally instant kills everything and counts towards that trophy. So I wasted my freaking time. But it actually, like, I preferred it that way. Like, it was frustrating at times, yes. But it really brought out the horror part because I was, like, wandering through these dark hallways and I would see, like, something walking back in the background and I couldn't shoot it because I couldn't use my gun. I just had to run up and fully attack it. And I almost feel like using melee weapons turns it into almost a different game because you have to learn the attack patterns of the enemies to survive. So, like, I know the attack patterns for every enemy in the game. There's not that many different enemies, but still, like, knowing how many hits I can get in usually before I have to dodge backwards and then do my cycle again, it turned it into, like, almost a different style of game, whereas, like, with the gun, you can shoot them in the leg, knock them down, and stomp on them a couple times and kill them. But it's kind of funny how, like, I've gotten used to the game now, where the beginning, this was, like, my first real experience with a horror game. I tried to play Resident Evil 2 Remake, but admittedly, that was, like, one of my first experiences with an M-rated game, so I was already like blown away by the gore, and on top of that, I was just like scared, like legitimately could not play past a certain point, so I kind of gave up on that. But this was my first real experience getting through a horror game, so there were parts where I was a little freaked out and didn't was like progressing through the game really slowly. There were some parts that it was embarrassing. I got really stuck on some spots because I forgot to check like one room, and the one room I forgot to check had the key that I needed to progress. I don't think I ever looked at a walkthrough. I think I might have once. I never needed to look at a walkthrough for like a puzzle solution or anything. It was just like about finding keys and knowing where I needed to go to progress occasionally. Usually, what I really like about this game is it's really straightforward with its puzzles. Like, James will circle the spots you need to go on the map, and I really like how straightforward all of that is and how the game itself keeps track of that so you don't. Like, other games would make you like memorize everything and you would have to remember it when you then get to the part where you have to input the code. But James writes it down on the map for you so you can check it later. And I really like how nothing in this game is really that scary per se. Like, it's creepy and the atmosphere is like really outstanding. It's the most atmospheric game I have played, where like I was very immersed the entire time I was playing it. But there's no like outwardly jump scary stuff. There's creepy stuff, there's creepy themes, but like the twists I really like how the story is very minimalistic. Normally it doesn't work for me because I don't like when things aren't outwardly told. I think it's lazy writing, but in Silent Hill 2 it's very intentional that a lot of it is up to interpretation for the player, like with a lot of the themes and like really like all of the mysteries surrounding Silent Hill. It's never outright spoken on. It's all up to inference, which I think is a really like it's like really good writing, because a lot of games just throw everything at you and act like you're stupid, like reiterating things over and over again to make sure you understand the plot. But Silent Hill 2 doesn't do that and leaves a lot of it up to interpretation, which is why you get hour-long or 2-hour-long theory crafting videos on what's really going on in the game. And I really liked that. I really like that each character very clearly has a purpose to push the narrative, where Eddie is sort of someone who loses themselves in Silent Hill, loses themselves to the violence. He's getting chased, like everyone's version of Silent Hill is different, and he's getting chased by his bully relentlessly until he finally decides to kill him. And then upon killing all of his bullies over and over again, he gets desensitized to the killing and eventually tries to kill you, James, which forces him to take his first real human life in the game itself. And then Angela with all of the like abuse stuff that's like legitimately really hard to watch. Like, her voice actress was outstanding because it was like really hard to watch some of the sequences where she's having her total mental breakdowns, and like it was incredibly good in like a not good way, if that makes any sense. And James's development as you go through it is interesting as well, especially with the different endings, because the different endings really symbolize how you as a player made it through Silent Hill, the town. Whether you're sticking to Maria and being captured by her and just running away with her and forgetting about Mary, or you spend the entire time on low health, causing James to end it all at the end of the game. Spoiler alert. But like how much of it can be left up to player interpretation is really good. And the gameplay itself, there's a lot of game here. Like, I've seen people complain that it's too long for a horror game, and I will say there were many times when I really thought, like, this is dragging on, and I wanted to quit. Um, I probably would have quit. Like, if it was just me playing and not me with my girlfriend experiencing it together, I probably would have quit, like, around the halfway point, because I was just getting, like, around the hospital ish. I would have probably quit around then, but is like, because it took me a while to get there. I was like embarrassingly so. I think it took me around 10 hours, including like deaths, to get to the hospital, which is like embarrassing. But um, that entire sequence is just James, and you don't really encounter anyone else. You encounter Eddie briefly throwing up in the toilet, but you don't really encounter anyone else. And then you meet Maria, and finally you have this character to character interaction and like world building stuff that made me care a lot more. But I can see how some people say the game drags on a bit. Um, and it's one of those that sometimes it's hard to play because it's so dark and dreary. Like, it's not a very positive game at all. It's not like a fun action game until you play New Game Plus. New Game Plus kind of turns the game on its head. It's kind of like interesting going back through New Game Plus with the chainsaw, being able to instant kill everything, like remembering back to like sequences where I died over and over again and just blowing through it in like 30 seconds tops with the chainsaw is like, it like turns it into a completely different game. And I like that. I like the amount of variety there is in this game. I like trying to play it fast. And I like all of the stats that are shown at the end of the game. Like, it shows you how many times you open the map. And I think, like, dead ass, it told, like, the first time that I played, I think I opened the map 1,500 times. It said something like that. It was, like, a ridiculous number. And then the second playthrough, I looked at it, like, 90 times or something like that. It's a really funny, like, ending screen to show you kind of how bad you are at the game. Like, it's really mocking the way that it does that. But my first playthrough, like I said, I had 15 hours in-game time. My second playthrough was around 7 hours in-game time, including doing, like, a lot of the achievements that I missed the first time. Like, I got all of the collectibles on my second playthrough, not my first. And now I'm going through another, like, full speed playthrough, and I'm at the prison, and I think I'm only at like 3 hours, so I might be able to beat it in around 5, which isn't like a great time by any means. Like, the speed run is like 2 hours, but I'm not necessarily trying to go that fast. I'm just trying to enjoy the game a little bit, and I have to get a few gun kills as well, because obviously with my first playthrough being my melee weapon only one, I need to get 75 kills with guns to get that trophy, and I'm missing, I think, like 10. So it won't be that hard now that I'm at the prison and I can kill the things that climb up on the walls. But this game is extreme. Like I said, it's the most atmospheric game that I've played, and I really like that about it. There isn't really anything that necessarily bugged me other than it just being pretty slow moving, but that's more of a personal thing. I do think like, for being a PlayStation 5 game, the character models look a little wonky sometimes, even in like the cutscenes. Like, it's obviously way upgraded from the GameCube version, but it's like the character models look a little bit rough, in my opinion, for a PlayStation 5 game. And I've heard, like, there's a lot of lagging issues as well, but that's more of because they used Unreal Engine 5, I think it is, and that engine just lags like crazy, and there's no real way to fix it. I think that's more of a that thing problem than a, like, the developer problem. But I really enjoyed it. It's probably going to end up on my top 50 games list, pretty much just because it's my first experience with a horror game. It's my first time beating a real horror game, and I'm going to be getting the platinum on it. It's my third platinum trophy on the PlayStation 5. My first PlayStation 5 platinum trophy. And it's not a hard platinum by any means, but I'm seeing all there is to see in the game, so obviously I care a little bit about it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Silent Hill 2 remake. If you are able to get your hands on it, I would highly recommend playing it. It's definitely something to experience. And I didn't really get into any of the major spoilers. Like, yeah, there's Eddie stuff, and I talked about the endings briefly, but there's other stuff to experience throughout the game that it's really like shocking when you get there. The way the plot twists and turns is really well done, and the way that you're playing as a unreliable narrator is brilliant. Like, it's brilliant storytelling that goes beyond what games normally have, and it doesn't have to be a full-blown RPG to tell the story that it's trying to tell. It's very nice and self-contained. But yeah, that's all. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.